Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. We will give 5 more minutes for people to join, and then we can start at 2:05 sharp. Thank you. I think we can start the webinar. Good afternoon, everyone, again. Thank you so much for joining our session that we are really excited about. This is our first webinar, 2025's Top Stone Fabrication Trends and Custom Countertop Innovations, brought to you by Landmark Surfaces, aka United Granite. I'm Rabia, account executive and marketing manager here at Landmark Surfaces. I will be your moderator for today's webinar. We know how valuable your time is, so we are extremely grateful that you took your time today to join us for this webinar. And this session is designed to give you insight into the world of stone fabrication and installation, specifically what's trending, what's new, and how to stay ahead of such a rapidly growing industry. Whether you're a fabricator, builder, designer, contractor, or just passionate about stones, this webinar is for you. This webinar is packed with information that you can take straight to your next project. I will be covering a little bit on the topics we will be going for this webinar. We will talk about top kitchen countertop trends in 2024, what people liked, what they chose, and then we will be looking into 2025 trends, the most known design innovations for kitchen countertops and wall applications, and then we will be going into details for the custom trend works that we are doing here at Landmark Surfaces, such as stone fluting, integrated sinks, translucent stones, and laminated edges. And of course, we will wrap up our session with a live expert Q&A, where you will be able to ask all your questions, and our expert speaker will be able to answer those questions in detail. The Q&A box will be below, so please don't hesitate to put all your questions you might have during the presentation in that box, and in the end of the presentation I will present those questions to the expert and he will be able to answer. So I am extremely thrilled and excited to announce and introduce to you our speaker. It's our very own operations manager here at Landmark Surfaces, Juan Ramirez. Juan brings over 11 years of experience. He has been a polisher, CNC operator, programmer, CAD drafter, and shop manager. So when it comes to both hands-on, craft and operation strategy, Juan truly gets it. We salespeople and United Granite's Landmark Surfaces love talking to Juan because he's very knowledgeable, very kind, and always is there to answer all the questions. And from what you can see in the flyer, he definitely has charisma and personality, so we love it. Juan, thank you so much for agreeing to have this webinar with us, and floor is yours.
Well, made me blush there. Thank you, Rubia. Thank you for the great introduction. And thank you, everyone, and welcome. We're really glad you're all here. We've been very excited to get this going. I know this is the first one, and I happen to be the lucky first, but I'm sure we will have many more of, regarding different topics. Like she said, my name is Juan. I've been in the industry for over 11 years, and I've been with United Granite for almost 4 years now. So time flies, and I've loved every second here. I think we have an amazing team. That's what, to be honest, makes my job easy, because we have a tremendous team that just communicates and works really well. And Robi already kind of went over the topics that we'll be talking about today, but like she said, if you have any questions regarding any topic that we discuss or anything related to that, feel free to write those questions and we'll be answering them at the end of this webinar. And I will provide my information as well needed at the end. If you ever have a question for me, I am always available. So please, I am always here to help. And whether if you're here as a homeowner, planning a renovation, or a designer looking to stay ahead of the curve, or someone who just loves, beautiful countertops, whether it's kitchens, bathrooms, fireplaces, you name it. This session is going to give you a little bit of an insight into what's happening in the world of countertops. And we can start with the 2024 highlights. It was a great year for kitchen design. I would say one of the biggest things we noticed was a desire for surfaces that offer both visual character and everyday practicality. Customers didn't really want to pick between them. They wanted, they didn't want to just go with the amazing stone or the durability of other types of stone. They want both. And we feel like as manufacturers, fabricators, and designers, we have to make sure we rise to the occasion. And we can take quartzite, for example, right? It's a natural stone that really had a big moment last year and even into this year. And why it offers this incredible mix of one of a kind beauty, think vivid patterns and colors, but not only that, it's also very durable. It's heat resistant. It has a lot of good pros to it. And it's been especially popular in homes with more traditional and transitional styles where that natural richness adds warmth and personality. Um, and to counter that, we've also been working with a lot of porcelain countertops. They've gained a lot of momentum, specifically going into this year. And I know there's a lot of fabricators out there who are afraid of working with that type of material because it's such a difficult material to fabricate. But here at Landmark Surfaces, we work on it pretty much on a daily basis. To us, it's just another day. We have people who have tremendous amount of experience in how to fabricate and how to polish and how to install those type of countertops. So it's just it hasn't really been an issue for us, and we're always tackling new projects when it comes to that. And customers really look for it because it has low maintenance. It's resistant to staining, scratching, even heat. They also don't need to be sealed like many other natural stones. It's perfect for customers who love the look of marble and concrete, but also want something that's easier to take care of. So I would say those two stones mainly took over 2024. But that was 2024, and then it was a great year. But now we can talk about what's coming in 2025. Um, and if I had to sum it up in one word, I would say intentionality. Again, customers, homeowners, designers, they're thinking more deliberately about how every surface and contributes to the space of the project. Not only in appearance but also in texture and overall experience. Um, and we can begin with we have a couple of projects here that we've done in the past. Fluting, translucent stone, integrated sinks. And one that we've kind of been working, that we started working not that long ago, but we've kind of gotten really, really good at is stone fluting. This is where grooves are carved into the stone to create like a rib texture finish. It adds a touch of craftsmanship and that you don't really get with the flat slab, and that's not something that's really provided, in many places here in the area. It's perfect for an island that just you want that island to stand out. As you can see, both of these projects are something that we fabricated and installed. And again, as soon as you step into that kitchen, I mean, it is there. And as a matter of fact, the island on the right side is something that we have in our showroom here, which I would highly recommend for you to come and take a look at what we have here. Um, but it's not only for that. It's also on vanities. We're actually currently working on a vanity that has an apron that's all fluted, and I actually posted on my Instagram page, and I know our social media reposted that, and I would highly recommend for anybody to follow us there. We post some of the sneak peeks of the projects that we're currently working on. But also fireplaces. I mean, you name it, we can pretty much work on it when it comes to stone fluting. We're still developing new processes to make sure everything is seamless when it comes to the fabrication side, but I would say we're pretty much ahead of the curve because again, not many fabricators are willing to tackle that type of project. Um, you can see some of our fireplaces that we've made here. The one on the left side is not technically a fluted fireplace, but it is kind of one of the trends that we've been seeing in 2025 where people are looking for that 3D look, creating something like for example here, you would think this is all one piece, but in reality, it's a bunch of little pieces that we cut, we measure, we created on AutoCAD, and we fabricated and we tested out in our shop before we even went to install it. And it's just a flawless look. And then the one on the right side is a fluted fireplace. And that one, again, the top is all one piece, but the bottom, you can kind of see it's curved, and all those curved pieces are miter, small 2-3 inch miter pieces that we glue together. And I mean, the art speaks for itself. It's beautiful work. And I think that's what we at Landmark Surfaces enjoy, that type of work, because it is more intricate for other people, for other fabricators who don't have the experience, but we happen to have the right people for it. And it's a joy to work on that kind of work. Um, Now this was my personal favorite. Integrated sinks. I just think they're gorgeous. They just look really well in a kitchen. These are custom sinks made from the same material as the countertop. So as you can see, there's no visible seam. There's no lip. It's just a beautiful and uninterrupted flow of whatever stone you've chosen. And if your stone has a lot of veining, you're more than welcome to come and sit with our programming team. They will sit with you and guide you and show you the different ways you can lay the sink compared to the countertop itself, and make sure that, whatever image you have in mind, we will make that happen, along with our programming team. So it's a beautiful look. It creates a very clean, minimalist look, and it's, incredibly practical too. It's usually done with quartz and natural stones. That allows for the fabrication to be seamless. And then not to mention that we also have different types of integrated sinks, which again, I mean, I know my wife was watching a show and they had one of these. I was like, hey, we can make those. And she happens to work in the industry as well. And again, they were like, we will never do that. But again, we work on these type of projects all the time. Again, this is another type of sink that we have in our showroom that I would highly recommend for you guys to come and look at. And again, it's just a bunch of different pieces that are just cut to size and just glued together. It may seem very intricate, and it is, but once you work on it, on a daily basis, it just becomes another day in the office. Um, and then Robbie, I know you wanted to take over for a second, so
Yeah,
please.
I will hop on because we wanted to, keep the engagement for this webinar, and we created a poll that will appear in a second, and you guys will be able to answer those questions that will help us to understand better the needs of our customers. So if you can please take your time and answer those 4 questions, that would be great, and we can see, the amount of customers and the percentage of the answers. And we would really appreciate you participating in this. Thank you. And you will be able also to see the answers to the questions in the poll, and maybe you can add a couple of words, in the end to better like maybe answer or give some more information, I can see that the material that are anticipated most in 2025s are mostly natural stone. And I know you already mentioned porcelain, but maybe we can, mention about how to seal natural stone and how we, what recommendations we have. So
Yeah, yeah. Do you want us to tackle that at the end or?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Um, all right, so it looks like all the poll has been answered. The next topic was translucent stone, and this is actually perfect timing because we just received, I believe, a couple of trucks with unique translucent stone that we received from overseas that once again I would highly recommend for you guys to come and check it out. They're very unique stones. I've only seen a couple of them, but again, I personally have never seen them around, and I've been in the industry decade plus, and I've not never seen them. They're very very unique and beautiful. Translucent stones are a bit like onyx or certain quartzites. But they are unique that, again, they're translucent. And this trend is all about creating an atmosphere, whether, it's a glowing bar or a softly lit backsplash. These materials usually tend to bring a luxury factor that's hard to beat. It's less about practicality and more about setting a mood and, bringing flair to whichever area, you're trying to do this material in. And I mean, hey, we're here for it. And it's really, there's not much to it. Usually you just have, LED backlighting and behind the stones, and yeah, and it brings this beautiful atmosphere into it. um and then one that again, this is one of my personal favorites, which is laminated edges. This is something that, again, we do on a daily basis. This is a fabrication technique where layers of stone are bonded to make the edge appear thicker. And there's different ways to do it. You can either do it as a miter edge, you could do it as what's called a butt joint. And it opens up a lot of design possibilities. I mean, you can go with the bold, dramatic edge profile, or you can use it to match a certain, architectural detail in a home. If there's a gap between your wall cabinets and your lower cabinets, you can cover that gap by just, making the thickness of the stone appear bigger than what it is. It may seem like a small touch but it could have a big visual impact. um, but not only that, you can see at the bottom right, you can also get really creative with these and create edges that are not technically even out there. You can match, at the top do a OG edge, and at the bottom do a full bullnose edge, which is actually what I have at my house. And again, like it's something that's not out there and not a lot of fabricators do, but we're willing to do the uniqueness of these type of edges. Um, at Landmark Surfaces, we're just not trying to keep up with the trends. We're actively working to bring them to life to you guys, the customer, the designer. We are currently also working, and I know this is something for hopefully end of 2025, but we're working on stone bending. So which is you grab a slab of quartz and you put it on hot water. I mean, it sounds a bit silly, but you put it on hot water and you're able to make the stone bend. So if you have a curved panel, like let's say on an island or a desk or anything in particular like that, you would be able to bend the stone and match the radius of whatever countertop or area you're trying to design. We did a couple of tests. It's worked. We're in the process, and hopefully here soon we'll be able to bring that out, into the world and show it out to all our customers and designers. Because that's a really exciting thing that, again, you see on Etsy and you see it on these images, but as far as we know, no one else does it. So we're excited for this to be a reality. Um, so as you imagine your next project, whether it's a kitchen, a vanity, shower walls, fireplaces, and keep these ideas in mind, to think about texture, think about light, about the flow. These are elements that will define the projects of 2025 and beyond. And again, just thank you for joining us. I'm very grateful. We'll love to connect with you. And, if anything, I am always willing to talk to anybody and help as much as I can. Make sure you follow our social medias. We are always putting our projects there, giving little sneak peeks. Not the best in camera, but I am always in there. So, and because I know we want to show our art to everybody out there. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Juan. It was very short but very informative. Thank you so much. I do have a couple of questions in the box, so we will be going over. But please don't hesitate to put more questions if you have it, and Juan will be able to answer. So I'll go one by one. The first question is, what is the difference between quartzite and quartz in terms of durability and maintenance?
Um, they're both pretty different, I would say. We can start with quartz. I mean, I would say quartz, we can go pros and cons. Pros, I would say for quartz is it's non-porous, stain resistance, low maintenance. You don't really have to do a lot. It's low maintenance for low maintenance households. Uh, Cons, I would say it can discolor with prolonged UV exposure, and it's also not heat resistant, meaning you can't just comfortably put a pan on there because it would stain it compared to like natural stone. As for quartzite, I would say pros, it's extremely durable. It's extremely hard stone. I mean, even to fabricate it, it's sometimes a pain, but it is worth it once you have it installed at your home because it's just not gonna break that easy. It is heat resistant, and it is like marble. I mean, I'm sorry, it looks like marble, but it is much more durable than marble. Cons, I would say it's really in the pocket. It's a bit more expensive compared to quartz. And it can get confused sometimes with softer marble, but again, it's the beauty is there. So I would say those are the main differences.
Thank you, Juan. I'll go to the next question. Are laminated edges only for authentic purposes, or do they have functional benefits as well?
I'm sorry, can you say the first part? It broke off. Sorry.
Are laminated edges only for authentic purposes, or do they have functional benefits as well?
Um, Really, it's more about the aesthetics, mainly. People just want to see, specifically when we're doing like a half-inch like porcelain or a 2 cm material. People usually want that thicker look just because it's more, you should call it stylish. So people want that thicker countertop. But it can be also for architectural purposes. Like I said, sometimes there's gaps between the wall. They have tall wall cabinets and the cabinets, and there's only like a 2.5 inch space between them. A lot of times customers don't want a gap between those two, so we make a miter edge in there, and it's just flush and it just looks a lot cleaner. But for the most part, it is for aesthetics. It is.
Good. We have more questions. What are the main pros and cons of integrated sinks compared to traditional drop-in or undermount styles?
Uh, I would say for pros, that's a good question actually, because we do get that question a lot. I would say pros, it's a seamless look. I mean, for integrated sinks, it's all about the aesthetics. I mean, it just looks unbelievable. I mean, it's a beautiful flow between the countertop and the sink. But also, I would say one of the things that's kind of underrated for integrated sinks, there's no crevices. I mean, it's seamless, meaning there is for undermount sinks, you usually have a gap between the sink and the countertop. So I don't know if you ever had this, but like underneath the sink, there's usually a little bit of space. That can grow bacteria or even mold and some more extreme cases. But with an integrated sink, it's all flawless. There is no gaps. It is just a sharp, not sharp, but like, it's a seamless look. So there's no crevices for that bacteria to grow. It's also easy to clean and wipe. I mean, there's no crevices, so you can easily clean it with the same stuff that you're cleaning your countertop. One thing that we as a company have a uniqueness to is that for integrated sinks, we don't always have to just make a rectangle. We have sloped integrated sinks. We have sinks with the cap, so it looks like if you slope it enough, you can make it look like there's not even a drain in there. I kind of showed an example of that in one of our earlier slides. For cons, I would say if it ever got repaired or damaged, it is costly. I mean, naturally, because it is stone, it's going to be more expensive to replace than a undermount or a regular sink. Um, I would say that's really besides obviously when you first fabricate it, it's of course more expensive because it requires material compared to a stainless steel sink or a regular sink.
Um, Thank you, Juan. I'll go to the next question. Can fluting be done on engineered stones like quartz or porcelain, or is it better suited only for natural stones?
That's a painful question to answer. Uh, so natural stones, yes, we can flute on natural stones. We can do it on quartz. For porcelain, not yet. We are looking into that. Again, we want to make sure at least in this area, but like in the country, we want to be trendsetters. So I know there are certain steps to do it that we're trying to work on to make that possible. Because again, I've done a little bit of research because again, when you're in the industry, you know a lot of people. Everybody knows everybody, and no one around here knows how to do it yet when it comes to porcelain. But I think we have an idea. I think we have a method of how to do it. That's another thing that we're trying to work on to be able to do it on porcelain. Because again, porcelain, it's very, very much one of our main materials that we fabricate on a daily basis. So as of now, no, but we are definitely working on it. And as soon as we can, we will make sure to post a snippet on the social media so everybody knows and we can get ahead.
Just Juan, my kind of side note, I just wanted to add as a salesperson, we are, porcelain is pretty new in the American market. So many, customers, they don't know some of the features of porcelain. And so one of the misconceptions that I'm accounted with is it chipping on the edges. So could you please say a couple of words about porcelain? What do you personally think, in your expert opinion, and how we as fabricators trying to install it the way that it's, there's no chipping possible, basically.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier at the beginning, it's definitely, I would say, on the fabrication side, there's some misconceptions, and I would say more than anything is there's a lack of, for a lack of a better word, education on how to fabricate it. You do have to be a little more careful in the way you cut it and even polish it and miter it. It's not like just natural stone where you can kind of cut, and just want to be done with it. It does take a little bit of more time. And you can attest to this, Rovia. We fabricate on a daily basis, and I can count on maybe a couple fingers really. In the 4 years that I've been here, we haven't had any issues for chipping porcelain. Why? Because we have the right people. I really, really do believe that. I believe our jobs as sales and operations are easy because of the qualified people that we have, not only in the shop, but in our CAD team and our programming team. And we just all know what to do, and we communicate and we double check, we triple check. Um, I really think it boils down to that, just having the proper education and how to fabricate, polish, and install certain materials, and not just on porcelain, but on other type of materials as well. But regarding porcelain, yeah, it is a delicate material if you don't know how to properly handle it.
There is one question about porcelain. How does the porcelain compare price-wise to a quartz or natural stone?
Mm, you might be better on that answer, Rubia.
Yeah. Since Juan is more in operation side and I am the one, better knowing about the pricing, porcelain compared to quartz, I would say material wise is pretty much the same. Sometimes porcelain is even a little cheaper if you compare it to Cambria, for example. But when it comes to labor, because with porcelain we are adding the mitered edge, we are doing the mitered edge, the labor is becoming a little bit more. So it really depends on the level, on the brand of the stone. But I would say if you take Cambria quartz and some Emil America or laminate porcelain, and you just compare the end result, the installed price, they're basically the same. When it comes to natural stone, I think it also depends on the grouping and level of the stone. There are some of the marbles, for example, they are exceeding $200 per square foot. So in that case, porcelain will be cheaper. But then if it comes to the natural stone like granite, then I would say porcelain is going to be a little bit more. I hope that answers your question. Let's try my best. All right. I think porcelain topic is becoming very popular in our industry, especially because not all most of the fabricators are doing it and really taking responsibility on fabricating and installing porcelain. I think we will be happy to have another webinar about porcelain, where we can discuss the details, and maybe we can cooperate with some of porcelain manufacturers so that they can better explain how durable the porcelain is. Yeah. Juan, I do have a couple of questions here for you, I think. What sealing or maintenance routines are recommended for translucent stones like onyx? Maybe in
Um,
natural stone.
okay. I would say for sealing, I would say any high quality penetrating sealer would be good. I've sent you a couple of links, and I would gladly send anybody a link that we have a couple that we use specifically here at our shop. And I would say seal it once or twice a year. I would say twice if to be safe. For cleaning, I would say pH neutral cleaners, and avoid any acidic or abrasive products. Um, Avoid direct heat or harsh impacts. Again, that's really for any type of stone, right? But specifically, I would say for that, I wouldn't use it for like trivets or cutting boards. And again, I think it's really important to say like the translucent stone can discolor with a lot of UV exposure. I would recommend for it to be installed in shaded or indoor areas mainly. So yeah.
Yeah, talking by the way about translucent stones, we just got our um, um, the slabs of gemstones here in Chantilly showroom. So if anybody of you has interest in translucent stones like gemstones, we're happy to show you around and for you to see the options. We are thinking in the future to install translucent stone in our showroom with UV light, so people are able to see how beautiful they are. And of course, if you can go to the Pinterest or any other sources, you'll be able to see the pictures of translucent stones. And we are trying to keep on track with those trends so that we are staying in the level of top fabricator in DMV area. Juan, I do have I think one last question. If anyone can add more questions, it's about the turnaround. What is the typical turnaround time from selection to installation for especially custom projects with advanced features?
Another favorite question of mine. I would say it really depends on the type of project. I always tell, and Robia can attest to this, but I always say custom work requires custom time. Usually for a regular job, I mean, standard, I would say it's a week from the day we measure to the day we install. We are open, again, if it needs to be turned around quicker, we can make that happen as well. There's been situations where we measure Monday, we're installing, I mean, gosh, there's even been situations where we install Tuesday midday, or Wednesday. So as long as there's good communication between sales and operations and the customer, we can usually make the timeframes happen. For more advanced projects like specifically fluting or integrated sinks, those typically it's kind of funny because I've researched some of like other fabricators, and it's usually 2 to 3 weeks for that kind of stuff. And here I would say an additional 3 to 4 days for those type of projects, just because again the uniqueness. And it's usually even if the projects are similar, they're usually never the same. I mean, that's kind of what makes this industry fun, right? Like there's always something new, there's always something being innovative, or the way we do things changes to make a smoother transition, or the industry is always moving forward. So we try and keep it within a week still, even for those projects. But if there is, if it's a big project, we've had projects where we're doing 3 integrated sinks in one single home. Those could take up to an additional week to 2 weeks. But for a standard one, I mean, you let us know your time frame, and we usually about 99% of the time we can make that happen for you.
Thank you, Juan. Let me see if we have any other questions. No other questions so far. Thank you so much, Juan. I think it was really, really useful. And you can, if you can go to the slide where there is our email addresses. If anybody of you have any questions when it comes to the pricing, when it comes to any other projects that you want to give us and try us out, we would be happy to answer, cooperate, and I do have one more announcement. We will be having the CEU event with Cambria, Continued Education Unit with Cambria end of May. It's going to be May 29th. And of course, we'll be sending you guys the announcement and the link, but it's going to be in person in Chantilly showroom. So you're welcome to join us. There's going to be lunch. It's going to be middle of the day. I think it's going to be 11 a.m. And we will be happy to see each and every one of you and expand our network. Again, thank you so much, Juan, for your expert opinion and knowledge. And I hope that this webinar was the first, but not the last. And I'm hoping that it's going to be informative and useful for all the participants. Again, if you have any questions, any projects, please don't hesitate to send us an email or call us. We do have 3 showrooms. We do have a showroom in Chantilly, Alexandria, and Fredericksburg. And most of those showrooms have a wide selection, and we do really keep all the slabs that are trendy right now, so you are able to actually come and see the slabs in person. So we will be happy for any future collaboration. Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you all in the future. Have a
Thank you,
great
everyone.
day.